Let's talk about the history of the entire world economy, but let's do it using a birthday cake. I know, it sounds a little weird, but stick with me because it's the perfect way to understand where business has been and, more importantly, where it's all heading now. Let's get into it. Okay, think way back to the agrarian economy. If you wanted a birthday cake, you were making it from scratch. You'd use basic farm commodities, flour, sugar, eggs, and the whole thing would cost you, maybe a few dimes. Then, fast forward to the industrial economy, suddenly you've got goods. Mom could just buy a box of Betty Crocker mix for $1 or $2. Life gets even busier, right? So along comes the service economy. Now you can just call a bakery and order a finished cake for 10, maybe 15 bucks. But here's where it gets really interesting. Today, we're in the experience economy. Parents will pay $100, sometimes more, to outsource the entire party to a place like Chuck E. Cheese's. And the cake? The cake is often just thrown in for free because the cake isn't the point anymore. The memory, the party itself, that's what you're buying. So what this little story about a cake shows us is a clear progression. We went from commodities to goods to services, and now to a fourth, totally distinct offering. And this is the new competitive battleground for pretty much every business out there. This chart just lays it all out perfectly. You can see how we went from extracting raw, fungible commodities to making tangible goods to delivering intangible services. And the final step, staging memorable experiences. But look at that bottom row, because this is fascinating. The customer's role changes too. You go from being part of a generic market to a user of a product, to a client of a service, and finally, in the experience economy, you become a guest. The whole dynamic shifts. You're not just buying something, you're being hosted. So what exactly is an experience in this economic sense? Well, it's not something that happens by accident. It's when a company intentionally uses its services as the stage and its goods as the props, all to create a memorable event for you. Think about a rock concert. The service is the band playing the music. The goods are the lights, the speakers, the stage. But what you're really paying for is the experience of being there, that feeling, that memory. And this quote, it just nails the most important part. Unlike a physical product you can hold, an experience is completely personal. It literally only exists inside your head. It's that unique chemical reaction between the event that a company stages and your own personal feelings and thoughts at that exact moment. It's why two people can stand side by side at the same event and have two totally different experiences. Okay, so if these things are so personal, how on earth do you design one? Well, to get a hand on it, we can actually map out experiences across two key dimensions. And when we do that, we get four very distinct realms of experience. So the first dimension is all about customer participation. You have to ask, are you just passively observing what's happening, like when you're watching a symphony? Or are you actively involved, actually affecting the event, like when you're skiing down a mountain? Then, the second dimension is your connection to it all. Are you just absorbing information from a distance, the way you would in a lecture? Or are you completely immersed, physically a part of the environment, like being in a virtual reality game? Now, when you put those two scales together, you get these four realms. If it's passive and you're just absorbing it, that's entertainment. Think watching TV. If you become active, but you're still just absorbing, that's educational, like taking a class. Now, if you're active and fully immersed, that's the escapist realm. Think of an escape room or acting in a play. And finally, if you're passive but fully immersed in an environment, that's aesthetic. Just being there and soaking in the beauty of the Grand Canyon is a perfect example. But here's the secret sauce. The absolute richest, most unforgettable experiences, they don't just live in one of these boxes. They hit the sweet spot right in the middle. I mean, think about Disney World. It's entertaining for sure. It can be educational at a place like Epcot. It's completely escapist. You're in a different world. And the design of the park is purely aesthetic. It blends all four realms, and that's a huge part of its power. All right, so we get what an experience is, and we know the different types. But how do you actually, make one? How do you stage it? Well, it really comes down to 5 core design principles. You can think of these 5 principles as your playbook. This is the recipe. First, you have to theme the experience. Then you layer in positive cues that support that theme. Just as important, you have to hunt down and eliminate any negative cues that contradict it. Fourth, you mix in memorabilia to make the memory tangible. And finally, you go for full immersion by engaging all 5 senses. Okay, number 1,
The theme. This is the foundation. It has to be a simple, compelling idea that organizes every other element. It's the story that holds it all together. The Forum Shops in Vegas is a masterclass in this. Their theme is ancient Roman marketplace, and everything from the marble floors to the sky painted on the ceiling to the talking statues, it all serves that one single theme.
Second, you need to harmonize everything with positive cues. Cues are just the little signals you send that constantly reinforce your theme. Here's a great example. A normal restaurant says, "Your table is ready." That's a service cue. It's functional. But at the Rainforest Cafe, the host says, "Your adventure is about to begin." That's an experience cue. See the difference? It completely reframes what's about to happen. Now, principle 3 is just as vital, but so often overlooked. Eliminate negative cues. You have to be ruthless about removing anything that contradicts or diminishes your theme. Think about a generic trash can in a fast food place with a little thank you sign on the flap. What is that really telling you? It's a subtle cue that says we don't have staff to clean up, so you have to do it yourself. It reminds you of work, and that shatters the experience. Number 4, mix in memorabilia. People love to buy souvenirs because it gives them a physical anchor for their memory. Think about it. A plain black t-shirt might be worth $10, but a concert t-shirt with the band's name, the city, the date, suddenly it's worth $50. Why? You're not paying for the cotton. You're paying for the memory that's attached to it. And finally, the 5th principle. Engage all 5 senses. This is huge. The more senses you can involve, the stronger and more lasting the memory will be. Let's go back to the Rainforest Cafe. Think about that mist that rolls through every so often. You can hear it, you can see it, you can feel it on your skin, you can smell the freshness in the air, you can even kind of taste it. It's a total sensory event, and it makes the whole thing feel so much more real. So, you follow all 5 of these principles. You've designed what feels like an amazing experience. But there's one final, really tough test to know if you're truly in the experience business. And here it is. This is the big one. The argument from the original article is simple. If you are not explicitly charging people an admission fee just to get in the door, then you aren't really selling an experience as your main product. You might be creating a great atmosphere to help sell your stuff, but the experience itself isn't what people are paying for. This really clarifies things. Think about a place like Nike Town. It is an incredible experience, right? People will line up to get in, but they don't charge you at the door. So what happens? People come in, they have a blast, they interact with everything, and then they can just leave without paying a dime for the very thing they enjoyed the most, the experience of just being there. Now, if you want to see this idea taken to its logical, kind of crazy extreme, get this. An entrepreneur in Israel opened a place called Cafe Keilu, which means cafe make-believe. They serve you empty plates and empty mugs. There's no food, no coffee. You pay an admission fee, a few bucks, just for the experience of hanging out in a cafe, the vibe, the social part. They are selling absolutely nothing but the experience. And so that leaves us with this one really powerful question to think about. Whatever you do, whether you run a business, lead a team, heck, even if you just organize family get-togethers, ask yourself this. What would you do differently if you had to charge people admission? How much better would that experience have to be for people to actually want to pay for it? Just thinking about that, it can change everything.